Welcome to CBS Sports HQ. We are trending this afternoon. Chris Hassel, Amanda Guerra, Pete Prisco, Douzable will be joining us in just a second as well. We're going to do a little vibe check with some teams around the NFL in just a second. A quick vibe check on the Ravens, though, because Lamar Jackson did return to practice today, Pete, but it sounds like he was a bit limited.
Well, I think he's going to be a bit limited for a couple weeks.
Do you think he'll play this weekend against the Bears?
I do. I think he's going to play.
But what's the vibe, Pete? What's the vibe?
Well, the vibe is I think when you come off a hamstring, you got problems. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be the same Lamar Jackson, at least if he does play this week.
It'll be very interesting. Speaking of vibe checks and speaking of injuries, we do want to mention that Jaden Daniels, his status for Week 8 is now up in the air after he went down with a hamstring injury. Speaking of hamstring injuries, Pete, and the Commanders' Week 7 loss to the Cowboys. Now, the good thing for him is head coach Dan Quinn said he did avoid a very serious or long-term injury. That said, it is yet another frustrating injury for him. Former Offensive Rookie of the Year, who also had to miss weeks 3 and 4 due to a knee sprain. Taking a look at the Commanders' schedule, I do want to mention Jaden Daniels, his mom has always been outspoken, and people have now been comparing Jaden Daniels to RG3. Saying, okay, well, his rookie year, he had a phenomenal rookie year and then was plagued with injuries. She said this, quote, "I wish you would stop manifesting RG3 on my son. Words are powerful, and that's all that's talked about." She put that in a post on X. So she's not happy. Those people need to stop manifesting that RG3 stuff on Jaden Daniels. Welcoming in Douzable. So let's do a vibe check on the Commanders. where are you on them right now?
The word that comes to mind when you talk about the Commanders is unsteady, and it's because JD5 is hurt right now. And we saw earlier this season them be able to split 2 games when he was hurt coming off that Green Bay loss. Marcus Mariota is one of the better backups in all of football, but that offense flows through Jaden Daniels. And me and Pete were talking about it earlier. When he came off that knee injury, he just wasn't as explosive. The thing that makes him so dangerous is, yes, he can throw from within the pocket, but he's also +1 in the run game. When things aren't there, he's so explosive to get outside the pocket and make some plays with his mobility, and he really hasn't done that since coming off that knee injury. And now you're dealing with a hamstring issue. We just saw the schedule. They have a gauntlet over the next 3 games. So to me, the word and the vibe around the Commanders is unsteady.
Yeah, the vibe is not good. And it's not just because he's not there. I think defensively they have major problems. And we saw that, the last couple games. They've been terrible. Lattimore can't cover anybody. I've taken to calling him Toast Lattimore because he gets burnt every single week. That's terrible. And then you look at, they lost another pass rusher. Armstrong's out now. They don't rush the passer that well. The linebackers look old. And, Bobby Wagner's not a kid anymore. He's starting to look his age. And when you look at that, they don't stop people. So if you don't stop people, I don't care if Jaden Daniels is playing. He's going to have to put up 30-something points a game.
Well, that's what we saw last season.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
The way their offense is constructed right now, I don't know if he can put up 30 points, even if he's healthy. So I'm concerned. You look at that schedule. The schedule's brutal. I think this team is done. I'll be honest with you. I think they're done.
So in the grave?
I think they're done.
You're burying them already?
Are you digging the hole?
Look at this schedule.
Are you digging the grave?
Look at this.
Yeah,
look
tough.
at this. At Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions. Okay, the Dolphins, that's 2 buys in a row right there. And then you get the Broncos at the Vikings. You got a division game. The Eagles again. Cowboys and at Eagles. I mean, that schedule is brutal. If they can navigate that with a healthy Jaden Daniels and that defense, I will be astounded.
What's ESP?
Is that
They're in Spain.
Is it
They're playing
Spain?
in
Okay.
España.
I just didn't. I forgot that we were going to España.
I didn't know we went ESP for Spain as an abbreviation.
Well, I mean, I know that's it, but I wasn't sure.
Pete, do you like the Thesaurus?
The what?
Thesaurus. Do you like the Thesaurus?
Do
you like the Thesaurus?
something?
What is that? Is that from a movie?
I think Lige busted out the Thesaurus for this next word. What's the word to describe the vibe with the Chargers, Lige?
Peculiar. And to me, Pete, we were talking about this earlier. It's like, what Chargers team are you going to get? Now, obviously, when you have your 2 bookend tackles hurt, that hurts the flow of having success on offense. And Justin Herbert, throughout the first 3 weeks, we were putting him in the MVP category. We were saying, were the Chiefs going to be able to catch the Chargers? And now it's been flipped. And also, another thing, their defense is just falling off the wagon. Like last week, Indiana Jones and the Colts had their way with them. Going into that game, they had only surrendered one passer for over 250 pass yards, and that was Patrick Mahomes in week 1. The defense is falling off the hinges. It's not as good. And on offense, they've struggled. Justin Herbert with a bad interception right before half. They were trying to cut the lead to 10 points, but instead they go down to have 20-3 in that game, and the coach really never looked back. So you see it right there, the first 3 games compared to the last 4 games. It has been a struggle. To me, what Chargers team are you going to get week in and week out? And yes, they've dealt with injuries, but Pete, we've talked about this. Everybody has dealt with injuries, but it just has not looked good for the LA Chargers over the last 4 games.
You know, it's peculiar that he used the word peculiar to describe an NFL team. Really.
Why?
Peculiar, strange, or odd.
Why are we
unusual,
stuck on the word
right?
peculiar?
Because
It's
that's the
very
word he
normal-
chose.
It's a normal word. You know what's peculiar is those ugly uniforms.
Yeah, that's true. They
were
bad.
they
What's
were
your
hideous.
word to describe the vibe with the Chargers right now?
Worried. Too many injuries.
Normal word.
The offensive line.
that's not an
the
authoritative
offensive
word.
line is a mess right now. They can't protect. Herbert threw for 400 yards last week and still wasn't protected. And you look at the defense, and they had some issues last week. I mean, you're talking about Alt not being there, but then Deculus goes out, and he's the backup to Alt. I mean, they have problems across the board. And if they can't get better up front, they're not going to be able to run the ball. We know what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. He wants to run the football, and they can't run the football. So I think I'm really worried about this team. After their quick start, I thought they looked like maybe this is the year. But what do they always do? They
charger.
They always
That
charger.
should have been your word, charger.
That really should have been.
Chargering.
How about this? Let's go to the Jags. And look, they started off really hot, and we were waiting to see who is this team going to be really. They're coming off back-to-back losses now. Granted, it was to the Seahawks and the Rams, so, not terrible teams or anything like that. I asked Jacqueline, our resident Jags lady, if you will, and she said, we will always have Monday night when they beat the Chiefs. So they're somewhat, I think their fans are coming back down to reality.
Well, I was talking to people up there this week, and they said if we would have told you before the season we were 4-3 after navigating through that schedule with victories over the 49ers on the road and the Chiefs, would you have signed up for that?
I don't like that talk.
Well, I mean, they're better than you think they are.
They haven't been good the last 2 weeks.
They're just not as good as we thought they were that Monday night. And part of the problem is quarterback. And they should be worried about him. They should be worried about where they are. The quarterback
is it his
not
fault they're
playing
dropping the ball?
Well, they're dropping the ball. Well, it's not just his fault, but they have no rhythm on offense. Brian Thomas is a disaster. Trevor Lawrence keeps passing on throws down the field and taking checkdowns when he shouldn't. That's a bad thing.
Wait a second. You used the same word to describe the Jags as you did the Chargers?
Yeah. Well,
you went worried again?
The game wasn't the way this exercise was presented to me.
Someone get Pete a thesaurus.
Well, this wasn't the way it was presented to me. I would have come up with a crazy word. I could have come up with peculiar.
Lige, what's your word?
Me and Pete talked about this earlier, predicament, right? And it's because of what he talked about with Trevor Lawrence and BTJ. Yes, you can talk about the drop passes, but to Pete's point, Trevor Lawrence is missing throws as well, and he's throwing blue tent balls. And for people that don't know what that means, he's throwing balls that land you in the blue tent on the sideline, which is never fun for a receiver or a pass catcher in the NFL. So there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this offense because, Pete, we had this discussion before the season, and I was saying there's no more excuses for Trevor Lawrence. They literally have fixed the O-line. They got him more viable pass catchers, and things are still out of sorts on that offensive side of the ball. Another thing that's kind of ailed them, Pete, the last 2 weeks, they have not been able to run the football. They were running the ball at will the first couple of weeks of the season. They have not been able to do that. Travis Hunter has been the only consistent player on offense the last few weeks. And going into the season, I thought they would need him more on defense than offense. They need him significantly more on offense. That's how bad it's been on that side of the ball the last few weeks. So to me, they're in a predicament, right? Because of what Pete said. There's question marks about the quarterback, and the number one receiver and quarterback are just not on the same page.
Let me ask you this because, look, we are entering week 8, so, I mean, there's still a lot left of the season. But to what Lige said before the season, everybody said this is it for Trevor Lawrence. So if it continues like this at the end of the season, are you now looking for a new quarterback finally?
No, you can't, not with that contract. But by the way, I said this last week on the radio show I do in Jacksonville. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good. He just is. And that's not good enough. When you get paid that kind of money, you got to be better than just is. And so they have issues, though. It's not just him. The drops, lead the league in drops, pre-snap penalties. You know, Leger talked about the offensive line. The offensive line the last 2 weeks has been bad. They haven't run the ball. So you add all that up, puts a lot on his plate. And so that high from that, that game against the Chiefs, the last 2 weeks has kind of come way down.
Let's go to another team that's kind of come down a little bit after a good start. The Pittsburgh Steelers. They lose to their rival, the Cincinnati Bengals, as a heavy favorite last Thursday night. Yeah. Pete, the last 2 words you've used are worried to describe the Jaguars and the Chargers. What word would you describe the Steelers' vibe right now?
Old.
Oh.
I mean, they're old, and that showed up last week in the worst way. You look at that defense, they have age on the front, because Watt's not a kid. Cam Hayward's an old guy. The secondary is loaded with Jalen Ramsey, old. Darius Slay, old. Chuck Clark, old. Elliott's not a kid. The whole team is relatively old, and that showed up in the worst way against the Bengals. They look slow and old in the secondary. And if you continue to play like that, Aaron Rodgers could throw 4 touchdown passes. You're not going to win a lot of games. So old is the word for the Steelers right now. They can do something to change my thinking on that, but they have to play faster on the back end and not get torched the way they did against the Bengals.
Elijah, they made Joe Flacco look young.
100%. Hesitancy is my word, guys. And I think that's been everybody's word, right, Pete? When you look at this team, you always ask that question, Pete, who have they beat? Now, they do have a Patriots win, but when you go back and look at that game in totality, the Patriots turned it over 5 times, and we're still in that game. Like, when you turn it over 5 times, you're supposed to be getting blown out. Well, the Steelers didn't blow the Patriots out. They barely won that game. So I think everybody was waiting for that other shoe to drop, and it kind of dropped on Thursday. Now, we'll see going forward what it looks like. You see it, games versus the Packers. Colts, the schedule gets significantly harder for them. And if the Ravens get healthy, they still got to play them twice down the stretch, including games against the Lions. So we'll learn more about this Steelers team. That's why hesitancy was my word, because we truly don't know who this Steelers team is. And to that point, right, even with the Ravens only having 1 win, they're at almost even odds to win this division. Who would have thunk that? The Steelers are 4-2 right now, and the Ravens have 1 win. And Vegas even feels like they don't have a lot of faith in the Steelers to win this division.
We look at this schedule. Would it surprise you, and I'm asking this sincerely, that they lost the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay, wait, we
6,
start with
7.
the Packers, week
Packers,
8. Okay,
Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Bears, Bills, and Ravens, and they're at the Bears, by the way. Other than the Bengals at home,
you have them losing like 8 straight games.
No, but it could happen, though. Is what I'm saying. You look at that schedule; it really could happen. Those teams are good football teams they're playing.
Would you say you're worried about the Steelers?
Shut up, Chris.
I'm more than worried. I think when you look at this team, they have major problems, and one of them isn't Rodgers, by the way, which a lot of people thought it might be.
I was looking up movies and songs released in 1983 to see how old we are. Donna Summer, She Works Hard for the Money.
She works hard for the money.
That's a classic there.
For the money. I know every one of those songs.
And Every Breath You Take by the Police.
Every breath you take, every move you make. Keep going. I get them all. Pretty good.
I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more as we take a look. What a Feeling? Flashdance?
Oh, what a feeling.
I didn't know what that was.
Irene Cara, right? Was it Irene Cara?
We need to get Pete to
Pete's in his bag right now.
What is that thing called where you sing?
Karaoke.
Karaoke. We got to get Pete to
not doing
karaoke.
any
And yes,
karaoke.
it was Irene Cara.
Yeah. See,
Congratulations,
What was the
Pete.
#1 song that year?
I think it was the Police one.
Pete, we got to get you out to Fishtails this weekend. Get up
Oh,
on
let's
stage.
go to Fishtails.
I haven't been to Fishtails in a long time.
That's the slate on Sunday on CBS.
Sunday. He went Sunday.